broken.
Oh.
Oh, here we go. Hey.
We are live,
Oh, yay.
and it's
We're
just
live.
Jamie
Oh.
with no background.
No, give that a second. It's going to end. Now we're going
It's
live
gotta
with just
end.
us. There we are. Okay, so we're live now
Got
with
it.
just us.
Yeah,
Yep, I see it now.
there we go. Yeah, we're live.
Hey, people.
Everyone's here. Everyone's
you
here.
see
Everyone's
it?
on here.
Yeah.
Hey.
Not to get us too excited, but we just ticked over to 6.34 thousand subscribers from
Oh,
6.3
trying to get to
thousand
10,000.
a couple hours ago.
Hey.
Dang.
Yeah.
Very
If
nice.
you're watching this, as we're
Very
kind of getting
nice.
situated here,
Live.
we're going to be doing some giveaways as well, and we're thinking about maybe doing some of them to get us to 10,000 subs.
Hey,
So
Patrick,
be on the
your
lookout for that.
mic's a little low.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cool. Weird.
Hey, everybody, by the way, sorry about the hold up, technical
It's on the
issues.
right thing. Is that any different now?
No, it's better
Just
now.
a day in the
Yeah,
life
okay.
post-COVID. You
5 years later.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
We're fine.
Let's
So we're
roll
ready?
then, huh?
All right. Wait. Let's.
Get Patreon pulled up. Okay,
There we go.
I'll do it
You
too.
ready? Yep. Okay. Welcome to Perfect Organism, the Alien Saga podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Prater, and I'm joined by my co-hosts.
Patrick Green.
Harry Chicos.
Holden Wilhoit.
Micah Green.
Dead dog.
Welcome to the show, everyone, and welcome to the show, those of you in chat, in our live
Hey,
chat.
guys.
Hey,
Welcome everybody.
What up?
Hey, feels like it's been a little while. I'm very excited for this conversation. We got big news to talk about. We got big feelings to talk about, and we got big patrons to talk about. That's not a commentary on your body mass. It's just I don't know how big or small you are, but let's give you a shout out.
Wow.
We'll go back. I'm just going to dig a hole to August. We got Alan Bartolic, Justin Baker, Brazen God, Benzoro, Lorna Folan, Danny Abbasi, Peter Hoskin, Adrian Johnson, Paul X, and Mick Legendface themselves. If you want to join them, go to perfectorganism.com/support or search for us on Patreon. And this is normally the part of the show where we also will read a review from, usually Apple Podcasts, but some other places. But I have to say, we got review bombed pretty hard during Alien Earth and it seems like the main concern people have is that we had complaints about episode 5. I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I don't think that's necessarily a reason to review bomb a show if they might have different opinions about something than you do. If you would like to help us fix that, perhaps leave us a nice review for all the other amazing things that we in the Perfect Organism community are doing, other than just having opinions that some people might not agree with about one episode of a very long television show. We would appreciate it, and then we'll read that regardless of how big or how small you are on our next show. So thank you.
Thanks, gang.
So tonight we are here to discuss, and also before I get into that, Ross is here, and it is 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. What time is it? Whatever time it is. 2:15?
Yeah,
Something like that.
2:18.
2:18. Thank you so much for staying up, for getting up to be on the show. And tonight
For
we're here
real.
to talk about the Alien Earth Renewal, and that was 8 weeks after the season finale of the show aired. They renewed it, and it wasn't just a renewal, it was a whole deal that Noah Hawley struck with FX Disney, like a multi-year deal. And then of course they announced Far Cry, I guess, I have no idea what that is, a new series that he's doing with Rob Mack from what's that show he's in?
It's always sunny.
It's Always Sunny in
That's
Philadelphia.
right. That's right. I only know
His
about that
pants
show
over there.
because that he came out as gay. His character came out as gay, and it was a really great episode. I watched like the whole arc. It was great.
Yeah, he's a great
Can I ask
character.
a question of Holden, who's the big ITYS? Wait, no, that's I think you should leave. Wait, it's
Yeah.
Always Sunny is. Yeah, wait a minute. What's the acronym? Oh, IATS.
It's always sunny in
IP?
Philadelphia.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he really change his actual name from McElhenney to Mac? Is that like
He did.
an actual? That's like a
Yeah,
legal name change.
He legally changed it to Rob Mack
Why?
Wow.
because he got sick of people not being able to spell his last name.
Oh,
Because there's
That's
like
lame.
3 E's in it. Like
It is-
It's kind of a strange
is a little
spelling.
hard to
So
spell.
he just went Rob Mack.
You
And
know,
that's
another name like
Mac
that.
is his character's name in the show too, so it kind of works, but
Has anybody ever tried to write the name Matthew McConaughey before?
Yes.
It's impossible. Like
It is
every time
impossible.
I've maybe written it 5 times in my life, and every time I've been wrong. And I've had to go
McConaughey?
look it up. It's so complicated. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, what's up, Kyle? What's up, Shura? We got some buddies in the chat. We're excited to have this conversation tonight. And yeah, I don't know if you want to get started. I guess maybe to kind of situate things, there was a lot of speculation about why the renewal was taking a long time for quite some time, and we'll probably never know exactly why that was. It might have been because they were kind of gauging viewership or audience expectations or budget. I mean, it's an extremely expensive show, um, but it does, to Jamie's point, seem a little bit like it had something to do with this huge deal that Noah Hawley was working on behind the scenes, and it was of course rolled out in the context of announcing this multi-year engagement. So it feels like, at least to me, like that was mostly what was going on, as they were kind of hammering, because I mean, if you think about it, like he's working on Far Cry now, which is going to be an epic show. I mean, those games are amazing. And that's
Yeah.
probably going to take years, I would imagine, because who knows how far along they are in pre-production on that, if they really even are at all. So I'm assuming that Alien Earth season 2 is not going to be filming for 4 years or something like that. Three or
No, they
four
already
years.
announced season 2 is filming 2026 because
Oh, that's right. They
Hawley
did. They did announce that. You're right.
because
Yeah.
a couple years ago, or maybe a year ago, before the show came out, they were talking about Noah Hawley was talking about with some interviewer or something, I can't remember the full context, going back to Fargo, and they said no, that one of the executives asked him to get the scripts for season 2 of Alien Earth before he goes back to Fargo. So I think the scripts for season 2 have been done for a while.
Mm.
Very possible. Yeah. But I mean, if you look at of course, the first season was disrupted by things like the COVID-19 pandemic and multiple strikes, but that still took five years between the announcement and when it was released. So who knows? We might be looking at something pretty far down the road.
Yeah, perhaps. How's everybody feeling about the renewal?
man, I'm really fucking stoked. I'm a huge fan of what they did with season 1, as all of you know. Um, I'm excited to see. I know it's probably a little controversial, but I'm excited to see where they go with the characters and the things that have been set up. I think the prospect of a rampant robot who has been given valid reasons to despise humanity being set loose on humanity with, or potentially, she hasn't got off the island yet, but there's still the threat there. Like that's pretty scary. She has the most dangerous creature that we know of in the universe at her disposal, essentially. And like, I don't see it so much as like Wendy and her pet xenomorph. I think this thing is still dangerous. I think that I mean, we've seen that xenomorphs don't really like attack humans, or they don't attack synthetics. She isn't a synthetic, and she has a supercomputer in her brain, so it makes sense to me that she has some sort of control over them, and that this is a viable threat to the rest of the planet. That and Teocellus potentially getting off the island as well, I think is a very. I mean, we're all excited to see where Teocellus goes, I think. Um, but yeah, I'm just really stoked about where it could go from here. My brain's been running 1,000 miles an hour since the show ended, and yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to build off that, hold in a little bit, to see the lore built out with the Teocellus. It would be cool. I liked what you said. I think the Xenomorph definitely is still dangerous. It would be cool to see it have a motive that is given in the regard to using Wendy in a way, but maybe it's like, this is gonna sound corny, but maybe like the arch nemesis of the xenomorph like is the Teocellus, because we got a little bit of that sort of um
the WWE SmackDown and episode
Yes.
5.
Yeah, but they
With a
seem
chair.
to there seems to
She's got
be a dislike for each other's species or in some way, or they're competing against each other in that way a bit. So it would be cool to see Holly build off that, or we like get glimpses into some background of the Teocellus where it came from, maybe. But I would also think it would be very cool if they lose it and they don't know where it is, and I don't know, maybe Boy Cavalier or just the company and Prodigy in itself is spends a lot of season two trying to find it and recapture it again. And likewise, maybe we find the Xeno drawn to it in some way, or also looking for it. I think that would be a cool element to season two. But yeah, who knows? I was a little weary that it took so long for Holly to strike a deal, which hopefully really won't be a thing anymore. The more that I think about it, I'm thinking it's probably has to do with the location change, budget. I'm sure it's going to be much more expensive to shoot in the UK, and yeah, so I don't know. And obviously he's working on a few other projects as well. So I just hope that doesn't hinder the integrity of what he's built because I also did very much enjoy Alien Earth. I just think I don't know, when it comes to the writing and things like that, things can get sloppier like later on. Um I don't know. I feel like we saw that with like True Detective and obviously some other shows out there. But I'm not like losing hope for it in any way. I think everything that Holly has built into season one, there's so much to branch off with. So yeah, I'm really excited for that.
Uh, I'm 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 excited too. I mean, for the most part, I really liked Alien Earth season one. I have been vocal about my qualms with it, as you know. I won't even repeat them again. But just building off of what you, Holden, and you, Perry, were saying, I am so pumped to see where Tia Ellis goes. I want her to wreak havoc everywhere, and I love it so much. Like the Arthur zombie T.S. Ellis combination, I cannot wait to see how horrifying that is, especially for people like Dame to see her husband like that potentially. And then all of the human characters that survived. I mean, no one really was killed off at the end. So where are they going? What dreadful things are going to happen to them? I also think about the fact that there was several other unopened ovomorphs in there. Maybe we get some more Xenos. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And I want to see where Noah Hawley Xeno goes. Like, how is that creature going to evolve to Earth and figure out how to survive best and become the perfect organism that it is?
I'm probably going to be the only one. I'm not. I was quite disappointed that they were going to do a season two, if I'm going to be completely honest. Um, I feel like that Noah Hawley doesn't really understand the xenomorph as he should do. Um, I'm just not excited for it at all. I will watch it, obviously. I think that this would be a really good opportunity for them to do it how it should have been done in the first place. Um, I liked all the new creatures that they brought in. I liked the designs of the ship. I liked all of that sort of stuff. Morrow was a great character. Timmy Oliphant's character was great. Um, I'm not too sure on what I think about Wendy. And the other characters I can't really remember too much. I just didn't really think that there was that much of a threat from everything. So obviously, in comparison to Aliens, um, Alien 3, you got that sense of dread that the xenomorph is coming, the xenomorph is there, and I just never got that feeling at all from any of them. Not even the new creatures. There was nothing there that made me think, this is a real problem. And with the aliens landing on Earth, that should be a really, really big issue. But they were just confined to one island. I've got my theories as to how I think they could probably make it better, but I'll probably talk about that a bit later. But overall, I'm not. I'm just disappointed, really, that they're going to do a season two. But I suppose I'm hopeful that they may take this opportunity to um, do it properly and how it should have been done in the first season. Because there are plenty of seasons out there unrelated to this franchise, obviously, that have picked up from previous films and they've nailed it. They've just got the right formula. I mean, for example, Welcome to Derry. They've just seemed to have just nailed that straight away, like from the get go. Like, this is it. This is they've got the formula, whatever the chemistry is, and how they've made that. They've nailed it. But Alien Earth, they haven't. They've just there's a lot of things wrong with it that I just don't. I personally don't like. And people that like the show, great, wicked. That's fantastic. I'm really glad you enjoy it. But for me personally, I was very, very disappointed with it. And disappointed that they're doing a season two. So sorry.
Welcome
Don't
to
apologize.
Derry. Hello.
Welcome to Derry is amazing. It's amazing.
Obsessed
Really well
with
done.
it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Really well done.
Yeah,
Very nice.
very
Very
nice.
nice. That's
My
it, my wife. Quick shout outs in the chat. We got our buddy Mario, we got Kyle, we got Shura, we got Eric Poopvein Stevens. We had a beautiful comment actually, which I'm going to read because it makes up for all the review bombs that we got from DMAT343, who said, "Keep up the great work. This is my favorite podcast. Appreciate all the work you guys put into these." That makes up for all the bad stuff. So thank you so much for saying that, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's also really cool theories in the chat about where season two might go in terms of tone and in terms of story wise where it could go to. I got to say, Alien Earth is a complicated thing. I find myself thinking about it a lot, and thinking about it in pretty complicated ways. I think I personally am struggling with the xenomorph issue in it, and this is something where I think if I mean, Hawley has spoken about this, because he's been getting flack from it, and he says people are forgetting that this is ultimately a horror show and that things aren't going to end up the way that they appear to be ending up at the end of the first season. But he's saying that without a second season existing yet. So like, I kind of feel like when you write a show, you have to take into account that that could be the entirety of it, And to me, like the way that the Xeno is treated in the last few episodes really is like hard to get over, and it distracts me from the things that I love about the show. Not enough to tank it because I still really love Alien Earth, but enough to give me friction about things. What I find, and Jamie and I have been talking about this a ton, is when I start feeling like that, I start remembering things that really do still feel like magic to me about the first season. I still think it's amazing that we have a show that has basically no callbacks of any kind in it, that gives us, like very genuinely new material in a lot of different ways in terms of setting, in terms of characters, in terms of writing, in terms of theme, in terms of tone, in terms of music. So it's really like very experimental in a lot of ways, which I think is part of why a lot of people don't like it, and not the only reason people don't like it, but I think that's maybe contributing to it. And I think it's also for me, the strength of the characters really is paramount, and I think that there's enough. I mean, for me at least, truly amazing characters in this that I find myself kind of surprised when people say things like, "Oh, it's a show for pedophiles," or "It's a show of like people don't know what characters look." 'Cause I'm like, "What are you fucking talking about? Like these kids are these like child characters in adult bodies. I think are done really really well. It might not feel like Alien to people, and that's valid. That's fine. We all have different ideas of what Alien should and shouldn't be." But I personally feel like the writing in general is pretty damn good. And even if you just take Kirsch, Morrow, Wendy, even BK into account, I think you have some really amazing characters. So those things always kind of bring me back again. The score, I listen to the score a lot still. I love it. I love editing episodes that have stuff from Alien Earth in them because it means I get an excuse to listen to the score even more than I already do. That's really exciting. And of course, Russo is coming back for season 2, which I think bodes really well. But we do leave season 1 in a really weird spot, narratively, but also in terms of Noah Hawley. So Noah Hawley has done two things that I think are worth pointing out. Fargo season two is my favorite season two of anything. I think Fargo season two takes season one and like elevates it so. I really think the second season of Fargo is not only the best season of Fargo, I think it's like a top 10 season of television for me. Second season of Legion, it's not that, right? So this is like, I guess we're going to see what he does. Uh, and what he does with this next season, I think will ultimately determine the legacy of this show. You know, if these things that are making us all to varying degrees, including people like Holden and people like Ross on different sort of sides of this feeling in the spectrum, feel conflicted, I think we all feel somewhat conflicted about some things. We're going to see where we end up. But I do have to say, I personally, and I've had conversations about this with many people in our chat right now, I always find that I kind of go to bat for people who take risks on things because I think it's really hard to do that these days. And I think, uh, regardless of if I think that all of Alien Earth landed the way that it should have, I'm really appreciative that Noah Hawley pushed things without caring that much that people were going to be upset about it, because I kind of feel like that's ultimately like this might not have been the story to get us there. Maybe it will be with season two, but I think that that is kind of how you get out of ruts that kind of kill franchises that lead to things like endless, Star Wars sequelizations and these things that just become really, really tired. And you compare it to something like Andor, which is just like this wall to wall masterwork, right? And they're very different shows. So I'm not saying to compare them directly, but like Andor did that. Like the Andor took these little things that were showing promise in other elements of Star Wars, and then it just like magnified them and it achieved something absolutely incredible. I still think that there is that possibility with season two of Alien Earth. There's, for me, not that possibility with season one. I think season one for me is a little too unresolved, a little too weird with the Xeno treatment, a little too kind of like all over the place. But if season two can find its voice a little more and find its consistency and give us something really scary again, a lot of people in the chat are pointing out something that I really want, which is I really want season two to feel dark. Season one really is not that dark. It's dark existentially. Like if you're kind of thinking philosophically about what's going on, it's very frightening. But I think a lot of television viewers aren't really doing that. So they're kind of seeing this like, oh, it's a Peter Pan. It's about these kids that kind of have superpowers now. Like they're kind of thinking like, oh, it's a little bit kind of lighthearted. And in some ways, the script kind of speaks to that. Like the script is not hyper serious. Season two gives us a chance to do that. Like season two, to Holden's point, gives us a chance to see like what if Wendy's no longer like the good guy, right? A lot of people point out that Wendy's very Pollyanna-ish in this first season, and I think that's valid. I think Wendy in a lot of ways is sort of always the good guy. And that's kind of the point of her character, I think, in the first season, is that all these adults are full of bullshit and she's the one who kind of sees through and gets to the end. And I think that's great, but I don't think that that makes a character have like long-term legs. So seeing her be challenged or seeing her change or seeing her not be the good guy all the time will do justice, I think, to her character as well as Sydney's performance, as well as Noah's writing. And I think season two gives us a chance to see what could happen if that were to be the case.
Yeah, I would agree with Patrick in terms of how complicated this discussion is. I don't dislike season one of Alien Earth. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it. My approach has been kind of meh, okay. You know, there are things in it that I really enjoy. I think Morrow, Kirch, to Ross's point, fan fucking tastic characters. There's some moments with the sheep and the Teocellus and BK that are just iconic television. I mean, where he's staring at the sheep and just riveting stuff for sure. I think for me, my question is, what is this story about? I don't know. I don't know what the story's about. What is this story? And I think with Alien 3, Prometheus, Covenant, and even to some degree Alien Romulus, we know what those stories are about. I just don't know what the story is with this show. I mean, yes, we have elements. We have the hybrids, which I don't even, they're not really hybrids, they're robots. They're not hybrids. There's nothing biological about these things. There's no like chamber where there's this magical celestial soul living, like these are robots. They're not hybrids at all. I think if anything, they could be um maybe digital hybrids. Like, yes, they have the consciousness, they have the info downloaded into them, of real people, but they're not really human hybrids at all. So again, my question, I think as I think about this show is, what is this show about? I don't know. And when I think about films that I want to see again or shows that I want to see again, um, I can tell you what that story is. I can go right to it. And I think by the end of Alien Earth season one, to Patrick's point, because of the treatment of the alien, because it looked so stupid, because it looked so terrible, and then you had it approaching Wendy and everybody, and there was a human right there, and it didn't really do anything, and it was a different person in the suit. It just looked like small. It was you couldn't really see all of it, but you saw the head doing this weird thing that I'm not sure what it was doing. It just really lost me, and I think I've never approached the Alien films like as a creature guy. Certainly, I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, I have many, figures of it like everybody else does. I love it. And the last straw for me was the mistreatment of it. The last straw was like, okay, I can forgive some of the stuff that I'm seeing, but then it just digressed initially when we saw the film or the show, little wonky things here and there, but you saw this slick black thing running down hallways, running on ceilings. And I was like, oh my God, like this is great. And then by the end of it, it's like they just stopped caring. And that was a little bit like a head scratcher to me. And as Patrick knows, because we've had many, many discussions, very passionate discussions, I didn't even want to talk about the show for like, I didn't even think I could talk about the show for like 6 months. I just, and I was hoping it wasn't going to get a season two, not because I hated it, but just because it didn't, there's nothing that felt urgent for me. And I think when I watch the original trilogy, Prometheus, Covenant, even Romulus, there's this urgency about those stories. And there's not that urgency. And also, the writing is a little bit all over the place. You get these great moments, these great lines between Morrow and Kirsch or BK and other people. And then, like it goes up, and then all of a sudden you get to this other scene or another episode and it falls off of a cliff. And that I think is difficult for me to navigate. And as everyone knows, I've been talking about Andor quite a bit. And when I talk about Andor, I'm not looking for another show to be Andor. I'm not looking for Alien Earth to be Andor. When I compare, when I talk about Andor, because there's issues in that show that people have, Patrick's talked about them. There's imperfections in that show, absolutely. But the writing, 100% of the time is like top tier. It never falls off a cliff. The writing is amazing. And Alien has this pedigree of really incredible writing that stopped with Prometheus. I mean, even though some people have issues with Alien 3, the writing in that movie is still really great. It's a lot of the incidental things that are happening. It's a lot of the story beats, like the killing of Newt and Hicks, that people have problems with. But the writing is really, really good. And I feel like Alien has been on this trajectory of being dumbed down and dumbed down and dumbed down. And it started with Alien Resurrection, and then Prometheus, and then Alien Covenant. But even in Alien Covenant, you get a mixed bag. You get moments of pure genius, amazing, and then all of a sudden you get these other moments like, what? Like, because clearly it was a different writer's scene because they had like three or four writers in Alien Covenant. And I feel like Alien Earth struggles with that as well, where they don't hold to their own standard. And when they don't do that, you lose me. And, I just have to say, by the end of the season, if you look at the viewership, if you look at the the Metacritic, falls off a fucking cliff. Falls off of a cliff. People weren't watching it as much. People weren't tuning in as much. It had this amazing start, and it should have because it started off amazing, and then it fell off a cliff. So I'm hoping with the season two, to everyone's point, that they right the ship, that they really retool how the alien looks specifically, but they get back to the realism of Alien so that because again, when your audience feels like it's smarter than its characters, you've lost your audience. And by the end of Alien Earth, they lost their audience. So that's kind of where I am right now. And I don't care if I mean, I still think episode 5 is the worst episode of the group. I think it's absolutely awful, but it's also beautiful and Like it looks like something that Ridley Scott himself should have shot or could have shot. It is absolutely gorgeous, but it's filled with some of the worst dialogue, some of the worst moments, some things that just don't make any sense. This obligatory sex scene that made zero sense, like many different things. And that's a head scratcher for me that some people see that as their favorite episode. But I also hear I'm not going to cast aspersion on people who like people are entitled to love what they love, and that's great. I don't want to make them feel stupid for it. I don't fully understand it. But going forward, I really, to Patrick's point again, I really hope the next season is really dark and really urgent, and it really comes becomes clear what this show's about because I don't know what it's about.
Can I just jump on that, Jamie? Like, for anyone that like really loved episode 5, it's like look, go back and watch Alien, right? The original Alien, because Holly talked about episode 5 being an homage back to the original film. And you watch Alien, like sit down, watch it from start to finish. There are so many stronger themes, character arcs, dread, horror that is felt throughout that film that episode 5 does not touch whatsoever. And to your point, like the writing, the characters just don't make sense at all. And I did enjoy episode 5 for like the little imagery callbacks and things like that, and it was very beautifully shot. The a lot of the wide shots I really loved. But you go back and you think about Alien, and it's just yeah, it just doesn't touch that whatsoever. And Ross, I know you said um, that it seemed like Holly didn't understand the material, the homework, like the what he was trying to create in the xenomorph, I guess specifically, and the horror that comes with that. You get a little bit of that in episode 1 and 2, I feel like, but then that's kind of about it, and it becomes more about other things in the show. What I did think Holly did really well was the just the Patrick, you're talking about like the deeper layer of dread and horror behind like them basically murdering these children to like copy their minds into these hybrid technically synthetics, you know. I I, I like I still think about that a lot, and like that is very scary to me. And so to all your points, like there are these moments that it hit on really well and that felt really scary or just where it was like drawing you in to ask deeper questions of what you're actually seeing visually. And I just feel like if you go back to the original source material, that is happening all the time. Like even in Aliens, like when they're laughing and joking around, there are things that you're thinking about that are just horrifying. Like even as a, us all watching this when we were younger versions of ourselves, like those things would like give me nightmares, man. And like I'm obviously numb to a lot of that now. Um, but that's not to say I don't still have dreams about being chased by the xenomorph, but it's usually in some setting that's set in like the three original films, right? And I'm not saying Holly has to create something that gives me nightmares. Um, although it could be fun, something exciting. Uh, as an adult. But it's just yeah, I guess short answer is I am also hoping that they right the ship in some of those areas and they don't have to give us a lot of things, right? It's like less is more. Get focus on some of these things that were brought to us from the original saga and build off of that, right? You utilize some of those themes, some of those elements, those beats with the Teocellus, right? Like utilize some of those conversations, the writing between Ash and Ripley with Wayland Yutani or Kirsch and Morrow, right? Like bring us some of that again. And I don't know. I just feel like it can rebuild in that sense. And I hope I'm making sense, but that's really it's something that I'm really hoping for in season 2 for sure.
I, for one, am very much like Patrick in this. Like, I enjoy seeing new things. I enjoy seeing new perspectives on old franchises and things like that. Like, I've been begging for something new in the Alien universe, something new feeling, something that I haven't seen before, something that I haven't imagined before in Alien for the last 10, 15 years, right? If if I want the feeling of watching Alien for the first time again or just watching Aliens again, the only thing that's going to do that is if I go pop Alien into my DVD player right now. You know, I'm not looking for the same type of feelings to just be recreated, the same things that I love about Alien to be recreated in every installment of this franchise. I enjoy new stories and rich characters, and I enjoy having room in these stories for my imagination to play around a little bit. And Alien Earth very much has achieved that for me so far. Um, it's given me something like we've kind of seen similar themes in like Blade Runner and stuff, but nothing quite on this level in Alien before. Romulus maybe touched on it for a second. Um, but I love that feeling of getting to know new rich characters, and that I think is where Alien Earth really excels those is with those amazing characters that they set up. But Wendy, in my opinion, Kirsch, Morrow, Tio Celis is very much a character. Um, and that's something that we haven't had in a very long time, I think, is rich characters. And that is what I particularly just really love and appreciate about Alien Earth. And I hope that I have faith that that will continue throughout season 2, the quality of the character writing. I also have enough like pre-existing faith in Holly to trust him to take a story outside of 1 or 2 seasons. I think Legion had 3 seasons. I trust him to take a story 2. Yeah, I trust him to take a
I think it
story
was just two,
outside
right?
of that. Yeah, I think so. But I trust him to take a narrative further than just 2 seasons or 1 season. Like Fargo were very much like compartmentalized narratives, you know.
It is 3 seasons.
It
I
is
was
3.
wrong. I guess we never watched the third one. My bad.
But yeah,
Lost us.
Fargo is very much like compartmentalized and very concise, yet a little open-ended. But I have enough, like I said, I have enough pre-existing faith in Holly to take this a little bit further, and I'm happy and confident in that personally.
I will say I think part of what I'm also feel it's just it's tough. This is very complicated, and I think part of why it's so complicated is this is always going to be wrapped up a little bit in the experience of this show coming out, which was really intense for all of us in various ways, not just in terms of the workload, which was pretty unprecedented from a podcast perspective, but also just like the fandom experience of like dealing with this going on for so long and with like everybody having very intense opinions and being, mean. And I'm saying that on both sides of if you like it or don't like it. People were just being very mean to each other. If you want evidence, just look at the review bombing that I was talking about. People were just very like worked up and mad. Um, and in some places continue to be. Although, Jamie and I have been talking about it. It's nice that like we can post Alien Earth things now, and at least there's some semblance of like actual conversations happening amidst all the kind of the flaming and stuff. But whatever. My point being, it was a challenge as a fandom to go through something coming out for such a long time that was also so divisive and so different. Because I don't think we're really good at that. I mean, something that we have also talked about a lot before is in terms of like modern alien experiences, it really starts with Prometheus, because that was the first one that came out when everybody was on the internet all the time and we were in all these fan groups, and social media was really a thing at that point. And that was a really messy time in fandom. And then Covenant came out and it was like the apocalypse in fandom. I mean, that was the most dramatic. That, in my opinion, as somebody who was a Covenant defender at the time, that was worse than the Alien Earth experience has been. It was like so weird and mean and aggressive and blah blah blah. And then we go through it with Alien Earth, and it's just as bad in many ways as the Covenant thing was, but it like didn't stop. It was like every week was this new chance for everybody to just fight all the time. And then Romulus, of course, in a lot of ways was not like that. I think because it was so comfortable for people. So it was like a lot of us got hung up on the callbacks, but other than that, it was something where I think most people saw it and were like, "That was a pretty solid Alien movie. Like that was a lot of fun." And it's reflected in the amount of money that it made and how many people saw it, and the fact that like it seems more or less to have been pretty well received. So I guess that puts us in a weird spot, right? Because then you look at IMDb and you look at social media posts, and I'm not talking about within people who follow our shows. I'm talking about in general. And episode 5 of Alien Earth was the episode that everybody singled out outside of our fandom as the one that they liked the most, and several people inside of our fandom as well. And it leads me to this place where I'm like, I kind of feel like it's going to be very hard to do something that is both innovative and beloved. And I'm not saying it's impossible, because people can pull this off. But I think we're really at a point now where that's going to be a big challenge, because if you look at the things people complain about, it often is ideological complaints. And I think that's part of the friction that we're feeling, is we're not, for the most part. I mean, Jamie brings up issues with the writing, and I agree with a lot of those. There's definitely valid problems with it. But I think a lot of it is like, this is alien to me. This is not alien to me. This doesn't belong in Alien. This belongs in Blade Runner. This, we shouldn't have kids in the lead of an alien thing. We should, this is gross to do that. It's these very kind of like deep ideological issues of people arguing about what alien means to them and what it doesn't mean to them. And part of me feels like we've almost been kind of set up for this by two things. One is how wildly different every single installment has been. I mean, every single installment has been so different from the other ones. And you can say that there's similarities with the prequels or whatever, but at the end of the day, like, these are very different movies made by very different people. Even when Ridley Scott came back, he was not the Ridley Scott we had in the late 1970s. He's very different. So we're kind of acclimated to this idea that Alien can kind of mean a lot of different things, and that the one that we personally glom onto is kind of the definitive, this is Alien to me thing, right? So we already kind of bristle a little bit for valid reasons when something presents itself very differently, and we have this kind of like, oh, this makes me kind of uncomfortable. As we've talked about many times, I had that reaction the first time I saw the pilot to Alien Earth. I was like, what the fuck is going on with this show? And then I gradually came to love it. I think that it's that, and then the other prong is social media has just gotten so bad. Like, it has just been so divisive, and it is just really accelerating this idea that not only should we disagree with each other, we should do it like as a matter of principle. Like, if you are not disagreeing, it's almost like you're not really a fan, or you're not really paying attention. Maybe this is the way that I'm personally feeling like it is, and maybe I'm wrong, but it feels to me like it's almost impossible for us to post anything now. And we post a lot of shit every day without people fighting in the comments. And it's about the most random stuff. Like, I posted this thing about Andy from Romulus, and I thought that was going to be a love fest, because like I thought that was a pretty, perfect character. We love Andy. He's great. David Johnson has gone on to do The Long Walk. He's like the talk of the town in Hollywood right now. And even for people who did not like Romulus, and I'm not one of them, I love Romulus in a lot of ways, Andy was singled out as like this great character. And then I posted that thing, and it's like 80% of the comments are like, he should be thrown away, like we should never see this character again. We have people saying that, thinking that he's Morrow, which I'm like, okay, that's potentially racist, but whatever. People just
Yeah.
having no idea what they're even like looking at. And I'm like, why are we so angry about everything all the time? Like, why can't we just, like, if we don't, if we don't love something, I don't think like it has to be our personal duty to tell everyone how mad we are all the time. That's kind of the way that I feel about it. In a lot of ways, I respect like Ross. I think, all the issues that you've had with it this whole time, you've been very, nice and very egalitarian and very much like, and I could talk with people like that all day long because I have plenty of problems with Alien Earth, and I actually enjoy talking about those problems. I think that makes it a fun time. It's just like it's getting harder and harder to have those conversations now because everybody's just so like, oh, you're a fucking idiot. Oh, like your show sucks. Oh, you're being paid and bought out. Oh, you have no idea what you're talking. You're not a real fan. Oh, you're a new fan. You're not an old. All this just constant bitching and moaning, and I'm like, why can't we just experience stuff together? So my long-winded point is saying like I'm a little apprehensive about season 2 because this was really hard. I mean, Jamie and I had some of our most high friction moments that we've ever had in our decade of very close friendship. I yelled for the first time in my life in front of Jamie. I was in the car and I had a breakdown moment. I was so angry at comments that we were getting and I was so worked up about it. And I just was yelling and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like I lost track of myself in this experience. And that's kind of scary. So a part of me is a little worried that season 2 is going to do that again, but I don't think it will because I think we've learned a lot from season 1 and from surviving it. So I'm trying to remind myself that we can do it. We've been through this before. And even if season 2 straight up sucks, and it definitely could, Noah Hawley does not have a perfect track record with follow-up seasons to things. At least it'll suck and we can kind of enjoy it together and have more of a sense of humor about it maybe this time around, more of a sense of like levity and less of a sense of like, if this doesn't succeed, our franchise is doomed and we're never going to have a podcast again because everybody's going to be so mad all the time. You know what I mean?
I just want to cut into and say, like, maybe it is because I am one of those vaguely new fans. I've talked about it before, on other episodes that we've had where I didn't grow up with the movies or anything, but I do have a very deep love of sci-fi and a very deep love of horror. So I come from that sort of background. And I don't know what it is, but I feel very optimistic, and I don't know if that is gonna bite me in the ass. It very well could with the second season, but for some reason, like as you guys were talking before about the actual, going back to who, like the fandom, sure, we're gonna always be divided, damned if we do, damned if we don't. But like going back to the story itself, there's like a lot of really cool things and kernels there that I'm really hoping that we get to see more of. Like everyone loves T.S. Ellis. Everyone's talked about Morrow and Kirsch. Those two characters, if I get one episode where it's just all Morrow and Kirsch, I would be happy with it and I'd be done. And yeah, I have a bunch of problems that I've talked with you, Patrick, about after the shows, watching them being like, what did I just see? Like, and things that I've harped on too. And I won't even go into that now because we've heard it before. But just like there's little kernels here and there. I want to see, like, a lot of people way back up in the chat, someone, I think it was, oh yeah, sure, Multivac 6800 talked about thinking about the other companies, and I wonder, I'm like excited about the prospect of maybe seeing more of those other companies. I want to see what happens to Prodigy. Like, where's BK gonna go from this? Because he is a little fucked right now. Like, so I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things to be excited for. And maybe it's naive, but I do hope that Noah kind of learns from what worked and what didn't. And then I also hope that he remains true to what he thinks. Like this is Alien for him. This is his interpretation of Alien. And whether or not that's something that we love, he doesn't give a shit. Like he's just writing what he wants to write and we can take it or leave it. So I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I have really I have optimism, but I'm also like I'm still wary, but yeah.
I'm gonna jump in. I don't know really if this is the right sort of time to talk about this bit, but I'll throw it in there anyway. But I also think you're right that Noah Hawley doesn't give a shit about what we think. But I think that you need to. I think you need to give a shit about what the fans think, especially like the OGs that grew up with it. And uh, he should be listening to what other people are saying. And like, am I right in thinking that Fede Alvarez tried to reach out to him, and he just blanked it and ignored it?
Ignored him.
It's things like that. It's just you have to give a shit about it. And it, to me, looking at it all, I decided I thought I'd make my eyes and ears bleed for a little bit, so I thought I'd watch the season again. And I thought, let's just give it another go. And I still feel exactly the same way. And to me, it seems like that he wanted to tell a story about other creatures in the universe. Now, that I like. Now, if they'd have gone in with that, say, this is an alien film, it is connected to Alien, but you don't see the xenomorph. Everyone's like, oh my God, why? And it's like, because there are other more dangerous creatures out there. You could have had the overmorphs in there and the facehuggers and all that sort of stuff. But then if you're leading up to the fact that a xenomorph is coming, we would be more excited for season 2. You also then wouldn't have what I feel, oh shit, we need to chuck a xenomorph in there because people are going to lose interest. So they've decided to get a 3D printer, smash a alien head on top of an actor's head. That's why it looks so weird. And then you've just got some like high school play type movement crawling along the beach. You can see like a leotard underneath the suit. Um, and it's just, there's no care for it at all. Even down to things like where I said that he doesn't really understand the xenomorph. And what I mean by that is that, so I can't remember which episode it is, but there's a scene where they're all walking along and the xenomorph just comes out from the background. Now, it's not a xenomorph type movement. It's just like hanging there like this, and then it drops down like a monkey. It's like that's not the way a xenomorph positions itself. It's always in a fetus position because everything is always brought back to biology and things, and we all go back into a fetus-like position. And then when a xenomorph is coming into shot, and they did it in Romulus, you always get in the corner of the screen the alien side profile face, and then it turns to look at you. And that tiny little movement creates a very small bit of dread. You think, oh my God, it hasn't seen me. But it has. It knows you're there and it turns. So if you'd just put that little bit into it, that would have changed it a little bit. So this is another example as to why Noah Hawley doesn't understand the alien itself. So for me, what I probably would have done is, if knowing that you didn't understand, to say, no, I'm not putting it in. I'm going to put the facehuggers and the overmorphs in, fine, and I would have led up to the fact that a xenomorph is coming and focus more on the Teocellus, D Plumbacore, and I can't remember what the other ones are called because they were really, really, really interesting. I wanted to see, and everyone does. Everyone loves the Teocellus. That was the star of the show, and that's where I would have gone. And I do have an idea as to where I think they will, what I would do for season 2. Um, and me personally, I would want to see them, if they're going to do flashbacks again, like flashback of how they caught the Teocellus. Where's it from? What's its habitat? I mean, I've spoke about it before, where for me, I would like to see a nest of Teocelluses where you just got like a body of eyeballs mixed in with like rib cages and arms and stuff, where the bodies they've inhabited have eventually rotted, so they've just got nowhere else to go until something else comes along. And then, when they're trying to get this Teocellus, it attacks somebody, and all these eyeballs start crawling around them. That will make people's skin crawl, because humans have a natural reaction to things that scuttle around. It makes us uncomfortable. So something like that will work. It's still in the alien universe, and I think people will want to see that sort of stuff. But and obviously with the decom plumber call, they can figure out something like that. I just think that the writing does need to be a lot better. They need to really think about it properly, and they need to maybe also, what we were saying earlier, is maybe not have so many people directing each episode. um, Stick to a formula, stick to the same director, and just let them do it. Um, Yeah, that's what I think. I kind of lost where I was going with my point, to be honest, because I was just going on a rampage.
Well,
So,
do you think that there's a chance that that could happen? Like, do you feel any sort of hope about that, or just kind of not gonna happen?
yeah, I mean, I think there's always hopefully there's always room for improvement. I don't know Noah Hawley. I don't know his personality. I don't really know much about him. I'd like to think that there would be. I'd like to think that um, usually I'm an advocate for studios not getting too involved, but I think that maybe he might need them to on this instance. Um, and yeah, I think they could. I think it's possible that they could. I don't know. I'm optimistic. I think it can happen. Um, because whatever they bring out alien related, I'm gonna watch it. Um, because I am an Alien fan. It's what I grew up on. I live and breathe Alien. It's for me. I was very disappointed, but I do have hope.
Can I just real quick, as someone who's on the complete opposite end of the alien Earth opinion spectrum as you, Ross, I do agree with you. Like, I think it would have been a lot better if the xenomorph had been kept as more of a card to play instead of something that's just inferred. And I know the name of the fucking thing is Alien, right? But I've never felt like I need to see the xenomorph all the time. The xenomorph is not the star of the show in Alien for me. I kind of talked about this on the last roundtable we did. Like the star of Alien is the universe and the atmosphere and the spaceships, and there are so many stories to be told in this universe, whether it pertains to the company or other creatures or just people, like what's going on Jackson Star. I'd like to see a story about just people growing up on that planet. It doesn't always need to be about the alien, in my opinion. So I think it would be cool to see a little bit more restraint played with the xenomorph in season two, maybe pull those punches a little bit and put more focus into the quality over the quantity of appearances. I can definitely agree with you on that for sure. As someone who fucking loved a lot of the appearances that the xenomorph made, both of them in season one, I can definitely agree with you on that.
I think to a point that you were making earlier, Holden, about like new things and why we watch things. And if you want the experience of Alien, you go and watch Alien again. And I will say for myself, what was new was never the issue with Alien Earth. Like I love it. Like I think what was new was great. It always goes back to writing for me. It always goes back to presentation. I'm not a huge fan of Predator, but I've seen all the films, and except for Badlands, I wait till streaming. But um, I loved Prey. I loved it, and that was a completely fresh take. Even though there were some similar things happening in Prey that we'd seen before, it was a completely new take on very old lore, and I loved it because it fired on all cylinders for the entirety of the film. It never once like, oh, okay, and then goes back up. And I've shared this with Patrick. I personally am really exhausted with the piecemeal way that I'm enjoying content or films. Certainly in Alien, but with other things as well, Star Wars being one of them. Just like, oh yeah, this was great. Oh, I didn't like this. Oh, this was great. Like and I think again why I pivot to Andor is because I love it all the way through. I loved Deadpool versus Wolverine all the way through. I love Rogue One all the way through. And I'm not even saying that those films are masterpieces, but they keep their tide up the entire time, and the tide doesn't dip down. And these people really know what they're doing. And I think when you have multiple writers on a show trying to tell one story, it goes all over the place. And then you have multiple directors also going all over the place. And it makes for really frustrating viewing for me. And pivoting to Star Wars for a minute, the woman who was the showrunner of the Acolyte. Her last name is Headland. Maybe it's Amy Headland. I can't remember her first name. But she started talking about the cancellation of the Acolyte and Disney won't take risks and blah, 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 blah. And for me, I was like, clearly she is deflecting any sense of responsibility that she had and why that show didn't work. So for her, it didn't work because Disney wasn't taking risk. But then on the opposite side, Disney probably took the biggest risk with Andor, which didn't show a lot of creatures. It didn't do a lot of the Star Wars things. It didn't have a lot of that swashbuckling fun. It was much more dire and somber, and it was a critical and fan success, even though, of
Yeah.
course, there are people who don't like it, whatever. Um, my fear with Alien, not just Alien Earth Season 2, but with the IP in general, is that success has made a failure of our home. Is that what happens is, and I've said this before, you get these very successful people who've done successful things, and every idea in the room is the best idea. No one's really giving them feedback. They're not really listening because they're successful. And it's just deflection, deflection, deflection. And I think the best way for these showrunners or writers or directors to hear what's not working is from viewership, is from fandom, is from Alien Earth falling off a cliff with viewers by the end of the season. That's the best way to hear them, you know? And I'm concerned. I'm worried, honestly, because we've seen, and I don't think that Alien Earth dumbs down Alien. I don't like generally. I don't. I think that there are moments in it which we've discussed, like the whole scientists eating, drinking, and the putting things back, things falling apart, stuff that just makes zero sense, which to me does hurt the pedigree of Alien when you're not thinking of those things. It makes it makes Alien look even better. It makes Aliens look even better. It makes Alien 3 look even better because things are always thought about, and there's competency. So when you see incompetency in writing, it's like this horn. It's just blaring and blaring and blaring. And that's hard for me to just get over. It really is. It's hard for me to have, as a fan, to watch something that I'm kind of all over with. I don't typically, there's not a film, unless it's like, for instance, maybe a film that I grew up with, like Lady Hawk, which I love. It's a pretty cheesy film. It's not a great film, but I love it. I love it. And there's some great moments in
That
it.
movie, fucking, that sucks, Jamie. You gotta admit that.
I don't know if it sucks, but
That movie's bad, Jamie.
but it's not a good film by any stretch of the imagination. But I
I've
love
not
it.
seen it.
Like, you've not seen it? Okay, you gotta
No,
see
no, I've not
Great.
seen it.
You're
Rutger
not
Hauer-
missing
seen
much.
it
Let me
either.
tell
I
you
haven't
that.
seen
You're
it
not
either.
missing
Rutger
much.
Hauer, Michelle Pfeiffer, what's his name?
Oh.
Who's married to Jeff
I love
Bridges'
Michelle
daughter.
Pfeiffer.
Oh
Matthew
my God,
Broderick.
Michelle Pfeiffer. She was
Yeah,
wow. Yeah,
yeah.
she was my
She's
probably.
She does. She
she's
looks incredible.
Bro,
Yeah.
The
Catwoman.
movie does that. The
anyways.
movie
Oh
does
yeah,
that.
oh yeah.
Forget about
So there are things that I really love that aren't great. I mean, even, the Never-Ending Story, which I love, there's a lot of issues with that movie. There's a lot of ridiculousness in that movie. But as an adult, as an adult and a fan, I don't I'm not gonna I'm not gonna put on a movie that I'm kind of about. I'm just not gonna do it. And I think Alien Earth by the end of it was in that category for me, where I was like, this is too all over the place. It doesn't keep its own rhythm. It drops the rhythm, then picks it up, then drops the rhythm, and then picks it up. And again, I cannot state this enough, and I feel like all of us might agree with this. Um, since 97, arguably 1992, but let's just say Resurrection from 97. But Alien has been it's been this experience in PTSD. It's been this like, oh my God, that was, oh, okay, this part was great, but oh no. And then Prometheus is coming out, and it's just like, oh yeah, oh, what the fuck? This writing is terrible. And then Alien Covenant comes out, and isn't even as much as Patrick, I know you enjoy it. You also really much you see the flaws in it. You see where it fell off, where it didn't work. But Alien has been this ongoing struggle since 1992. Let's just say 1992, and I am so exhausted. I am so exhausted that we don't really have a home run. Now, financially speaking, Alien Romulus was a home run. All intents and purposes, that movie was a hit with general audiences for the most part. And it made them money, and it's very successful. In fact, it's on track to be more successful than Badlands, which I think is interesting. But I think Alien Earth and the next Alien film, it really needs to not fall into the trap of being this mixed bag. Alien has been, and I think saying mixed bag is being generous. I think Alien has been less than a mixed bag. I think it's been this thing that's been all over the place that has really frustrated fandom. But to fandom's credit, we continue to rally and to come together and to get over our differences and to see each other's opinions and perspectives and say, hey, maybe I don't agree, but this is how I see it, and we forge on and we wait for the next thing. Um, but the next thing has always disappointed us, and that's not the case with Star Wars. It's not the case with a lot of other things, but Alien really is struggling, and they have to surpass us. Someone mentioned the idea of Dan Trachtenberg directing the follow-up to Romulus, and honestly, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. I think he could probably
Absolutely.
do it. I think he probably fundamentally understands Alien in a way that maybe I don't even know. I think he
Maybe shoot
understands
Badlands
material.
and see what you think.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to see Badlands. I will. I'm just not going to go to the theater and pay for it.
You should. It's really good. It really is. And we had the
It is
chat
worth
is full
it.
of
Hates
people
art.
trying to get you to
Just
go
get
see it
the
in
popcorn
theaters.
and go watch it.
It
Jesus.
is worth
It's
it,
awesome,
Jamie. It
Jamie.
really is. It
yeah,
is worth
I'm
it.
hearing great things. I want to go see it for sure. I think I'm just, yeah, whatever. But
I think this is the problem with online streaming, though, isn't it, as well? Because a lot of people will just be like, "I'll just wait." I think that's the problem with online streaming and
yeah,
stuff like that, because people will just wait. Whereas for me, I'll be like, I love the cinema. I love the whole experience.
I do too.
And I think it obviously 'cause you're, let's say you're not a huge Predator fan. I'm a huge Predator fan, not as much as Alien, but I am still, because I grew up watching both of them. Well, obviously I shouldn't because I was too young, but still. Um, so I will pay to go see that, and I wasn't disappointed. It was very, very good. And Dan Trachtenberg is one of those who understands the franchise, both franchises. And I know what you think of AVP and things like that, and that's fine. But like I feel like he could give us what we need for Alien in the new movie.
Yeah.
But obviously, will he be restricted? And maybe that's why Fede's not doing it now, because as far as I was aware, he was excited to start Romulus too. So he is he one of those directors where he can't have his hands that he's just like, just trust me, let me do it, and we'll deal with it. Whatever. Don't restrict me, because like you said, from 1992, there've always been these restrictions, like Alien 3, Resurrection. Although it is a guilty pleasure of mine, that has a huge problems. And is always studio interference. And I think you find that more obviously with Alien than you would Predator. So maybe that's why he's quite successful, because there aren't that restrictions. They don't really get
Yeah,
involved as
there's
much.
no Ridley
So
Scott in charge of Predator. So people
yeah,
essentially they
exactly.
can say, here, Dan Trachtenberg, here's the keys to the kingdom. Do whatever
Yeah.
you want to do. And I think Trachtenberg took risks. He took risks with Amber Midthunder, I think that's her name, who is the star of Prey.
Who
And
was also in Legion, by the way.
she was in Legion. Really?
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember her in Legion.
That's the first thing that I ever saw her.
But I mean,
Weird.
kind of the last things I'm going to say, at least for this round, for me for right now, is that I think, to a point that you were making, Ross, I think Alien might need some studio interference that isn't Ridley Scott. I think their hands are tied, and I don't know how tied Hawley's hands. I think Hawley might have tied his own hands behind his back for Alien Earth. I don't really know, but there's something happening with this IP that's keeping it from being as great as it can be. And just even in little things, like we talk about, like the biology of the alien, things that they could do, concepts that Giger had, concept designs that we've seen. Even we see different versions of the alien on Instagram and on social media that are fucking frightening. But then when we get to the movies or the shows, they just look terrible. They look really boring. Or, I mean, I think the ones in Romulus were okay. I don't think that they were necessarily that interesting of a design, but they were certainly a better design than the one in Alien Earth. But there's so much in the universe that they could explore, and they don't. It just, it reverts back to this being safe. Even the coverage, the promotion for Alien Earth was like, alien on poster with the Earth in its mouth, alien here with the Earth next to it. Like they're terrified of not showing the alien because they need to have people understand this is an alien show. And as much as I agree with you, Holden, about like the show isn't really about the alien for you, the reality is it is the star of the show. It's the star of the show. And if you start disrespecting or not treating the star of the show the way that it should, you're going to lose your audience. And I think it started a little bit with Covenant, where even though I think that the version of in Covenant looked pretty good and pretty terrifying. I mean, when it's on that lander or whatever that thing is fucking terrifying. But it was very clear that Ridley Scott didn't really care too much about the alien. We saw it all over, like the poster was all these aliens, and it was just sort of everywhere. It was everywhere. It was doing all of these things. And when the directors and the showrunners start caring less about it, like we know what they care about. We can see it. We will see it. We will experience it. And I think it just, hopefully for Romulus and Alien Earth season two, uh, 20th century finds some courage to say, you know what, let's let these directors and showrunners take some risks without Ridley Scott tying their hands.
Yeah, I you said a really interesting thing there a second ago that I think you said something along the lines of there's plenty to explore within the universe. To me, that's what Alien is about. And the deeper they go into space, the more horrors await them. And the when when it was announced, obviously that it was going to be Alien Earth. I know it took a while for them to tell us where it was going to be set, but you know that that's one of those pillars that are taken away from the Alien franchise is because we don't know what's in space, we don't know what's out there, and that's part of the horror as well. So I was hoping that there was just going to be a huge infestation, like all over Earth, like just really, really out of control. And when we saw the trailers for like the army coming in and things like that, the Marines coming in, I was like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. This could work actually. This is a pillar is altered slightly. Um, so I quite, but they're just stuck on an island. There's no threat. There's no threat to it, and that's the problem. That's where the horror is. Um, and like, although there are gory moments in Alien, it's not like grotesque. It's like they grab his face, and it's a bite, and there's blood, as you'd expect. But it's not like people getting ripped apart and like a Saw movie or something. It's just very necessary. I think it's necessary gore. And like for example in Alien Earth, where they're all sitting down at that party and all this sort of stuff, and the alien just comes and kills it. It doesn't make any sense. Like the alien has got no reason to go in and kill them. The alien's job is to reproduce. That's its job. To grab a host and take it away. Impale it if it like any sort of predator. Predators won't kill you for the sake of it. They'll only kill you if you're a threat because it needs to feed. And the same with the xenomorph. It will only kill you if you're a threat, and then it will find another host. So again, bringing me back to Noe Hawley not really understanding it and stuff. And I just think that um, that there's a lot more to be explored. Um, and I think that's where they should go. I think they should just explore with the new creatures that they've got, pull back on the Xeno a little bit, and try new horror techniques with the new species and new specimens that they've got. And another thing, sorry, I feel like I'm going on an absolute rampage, and I'm really sorry because I don't mean to. Is that you never really you didn't know that anyone was an android. That's the feeling I got when I was little. So, I didn't realize he was an android. Like, obviously, oh my God, I can't believe I've forgotten his bloody name. Ash. I didn't realize he was an android at first. That was when I was a kid when I first watched it, and then obviously Bishop was announced that he was an android quite early. So, oh my God, there's another one. But then you don't know they're androids. It's like they just blend in, and they talk about synthetics later on once it's been revealed that that they're androids and stuff. So that's another pillar that I feel like is gone wrong. And just for the record, Andy is absolutely amazing as an android, even though it's quite blatantly obvious that he is. He is absolutely phenomenal. And for me, he was the star of the show, star of the movie for me, more than Rain. As much as I did like Rain, Andy rocks. So anyone that disagrees with that, they're wrong.
I agree. I just want to I agree with that so much. I want to say one thing and then I'm going to totally be done. I just pushed back a little bit on you, Ross, with the way I know. How dare I? How dare I? But
Rude.
my I know. I'm so sorry. But anyway, really quickly, I think for me as like I keep saying like kind of a newbie fan, I think I keep saying that because I want to like, defer to the OG fans a lot of the time. But the what I take a lot from the Xenos in each movie and each iteration that I see of them is that they're different. Like Big Chap is so different from the aliens that we see in Covenant and in Romulus and in Aliens too, even if you go back there in Alien 3. So like I don't know, maybe that makes it I mean I have a lot of issues with the way that the xenomorph in Alien Earth moves, the way it looks. I just don't like it. I don't know. It just doesn't fit with my idea of xenomorph. However, the alien in the beginning, like the first episode where it is killing everything, I can kind of get behind that. I don't know. I feel like some of them just have of like a almost like the rage virus, like they just kill everything until they find what they deem to be suitable for a host, and then they take that one. Um, so the behavior itself of the creatures, I think, is very cool and mysterious when they're different with each iteration of the Xeno. I do think like that comment I will just color with they should have respected the Xeno that comes and is largely a part of the series a lot more. And I think most of us agree with that. But yeah, I do think that the behavior of the creatures themselves can be vastly different, and I think it's exciting. I always go back to Big Chap as my very favorite, but it is cool to see some like more brutal not as intelligent as Big Chap, like they're just like going for blood versus the calculation of Big Chap and the slowness of that one. I don't know. That's my I'll be done now. I'm done.
You don't have to be done, but we do have to wrap because it is getting late, and I know Jamie has to go get dinner, and we have to go to bed. And Ross is like the sun is coming up in England right now, so we probably do need
Yep.
to stop. But I will say, just in closing, it's interesting how we do come back to this conversation of like what belongs in an alien product and what doesn't, and do we actually want new things or do we not actually want new things, and how sure are we of where we personally ourselves are on that continuum? Because we might not actually know exactly what we want. And that is what the conundrum is going forward into this uh, exciting and slightly scary new future that we have in front of us. And I just want to thank everybody in the chat. You've been amazing. Amoeba Jelly, I don't know if I've seen you in there before, but you have a lot of amazing things to say about Alien Earth, and I've been watching them, so thank you for that. And we had a little bit of issues getting the stream going today, so that's why some of you were in a different chat. We're gonna iron that out for next time, so it won't happen again. But we are really grateful for you all joining us. We're really grateful for the patrons out there who have been with us through thick and thin, and we're really grateful to everybody listening because you have stuck through. Even if you loved the show, and even if you did the opposite of that, you stuck through it, and you're here tonight dealing with kind of difficult subjects uh, with people who also have very big feelings too. And kind of off on the side, I've been talking to Jamie. I was like, I feel like I learned a lot of lessons from this process. And I'm kind of excited to go into the next season with this experience of knowing how to navigate a little bit better of these very tricky waters than we did the first time around. And I think I speak for all of us when I say that I really hope Hawley does pull it off. And I hope that even the people who were really not on board will find themselves very on board by the end. And if he doesn't, then we're kind of stuck in that situation Jamie keeps talking about. But who knows where we'll end up down the road. But I do know that we will be here to talk about it with all of you. Jamie has something to say.
Lastly, for those who are watching this on YouTube, but specifically for those who are listening via Apple Podcasts or wherever, we're trying to grow our subscribers base on YouTube to 10,000 at least. We're at about 63, 6,400. So if you could like and subscribe, that would be great. Get the word out. We're just really trying to um, find more exposure on YouTube so we can grow that account. So thank you so much for listening. And
Yeah,
And
thank
I
you so
just
much.
want to
And
say,
yeah.
it's, yeah, Patrick, to your point, I just want to add, like, it's great to come here, absorb all of this media that we have that is coming out now with Disney taking over the IP, whether we like it or not. It's so lovely to get to be in a virtual room with you all and like talk about the franchise like this and allow these things that don't work for us help us realize and fall more in love with the things that we do really love about this franchise and what we grew up with, and what makes us feel like kids again, the nostalgia, things like that, and talking about those, and even like looking ahead to Aliens 40th anniversary next year. Like, I know we're gonna have tons of conversations about that, right? And so, like, would we be as informed, or would it be as relevant for us to maybe find things that we love about Aliens and what James Cameron did in that film if we hadn't had Alien Earth? Like, the ideas like that I really love, and I love that we get to like really dive deeper into those sorts of things and help us realize, or allow us to grow in the things that we do really, really, truly love and what we fell in love with back when we first saw these movies. So I just, not just us six here tonight, but to everybody out there commenting, sending us stuff, helping us out on projects and things like that. It just like it, you're helping us grow our love for something that we hold so dear to our hearts. So just thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Good
Join our
talk.
subreddit. It's really fun. All right. Bye.